Hey, my name's Steve Dimick. I'm just a rock fan, and I want to talk about what I view as 10 underrated classic rock albums. You know, classic rock, we all love it. It's great. It's probably, you know, it is definitely the peak of rock music, right? That era between say 1965 and 1985, I'd say. Maybe Van Halen was the end of it really. Then you got hair metal and all that stuff that happened that was just really it was just really not as good, right? Maybe Stevie Ray and Van Halen were the tail end of classic rock. I'd consider. Um, but I want to, we all get sick of that stuff though, man. It's like, I don't really want to hear Freebird or Stairway to Heaven or say, Hotel California. That's a big one. I never want to hear that song again, really. Um, but there are some gems out there, some underrated gems, and I want to discuss a couple of them. A couple of them are a little outside that range I talked about, but they still have that classic rock sound. And so I'm going to talk about these. Maybe you could add them to your collection. You're a little stale and you want a couple new things that you maybe not heard of these, or maybe you have and you're a fan. So just let me know. First one is Kiko by Los Lobos. Like I said, this one is a little outside the range. It was released in 1992. Um, really big departure from their previous sound, which is like a roots Latino sound. This it's got elements of psychedelic in it, blues. It's got man, it's jazz. It's got some things where it sounds like they're playing, like almost like a Chinese song in it in some of those. It's just a beautiful, beautiful record, and I really enjoy it. I listened to this a million times. It came out. It was cassette tape era for me. I still had a cassette, and I went through the cassette and then various CDs, and I finally got a digital one, and I still listen to it to this day. It's an excellent, excellent album. And if you haven't heard it, download it, and you will enjoy. I guarantee, or I don't guarantee, because music is up to taste, but it's a good shot. You'll enjoy it. Next one is called Masters of Reality. It was released in 1988. This band is mysterious and weird. They never really a real rock band. They kind of put together sounds. They had stretches where they were a rock band and stretches where they released stuff that was totally different from rock. But this particular album has one of the great rock riffs I think I've ever heard. It's on a song called Candy Song, and it's a solid album. John Brown's Bodies, excellent, solid album all the way through. Um, and a hidden gem, one you've probably not heard, you never heard, probably on your rock radio station in the 80s, because that stuff sucked. They just were replaying old classic rock, and they were very conservative in what they played. Really, they wouldn't play anything new. Like even Guns N' Roses, they were hesitant to play that kind of stuff during that era. So it was not a great era for radio for sure. But this album, really good. Like I said, Candy Song, you can crank that sucker up, man. It is got a great riff. It's an excellent, excellent song and a good album, good solid album. Next one is Free Fire and Water. Now, a lot of people have probably heard All Right Now and thought it was a Bad Company song, right? They thought, hey, that's a good Bad Company song, right? And it's not. It's by Free, which had Paul Rogers on vocal. But I'll tell you, Free is they rock way more than Bad Company ever did. It's an excellent band. The guitarist who died, I'm not sure how he died. I think it was a heroin overdose, but I could be wrong. No offense if it wasn't. But yeah, the guitarist is excellent. The rhythm section's excellent, and Paul Rogers' voice is just incredible. They did like 4 albums I think during the late '60s, early '70s. Excellent, excellent band. They were still the hard blues rather than album oriented rock like Bad Company became. So this is a really good album. Really good. Really, one of my favorite hidden gems, like type of deal. When I played it to my friends, they'd never heard it, and they didn't play it on rock radio that much except for All Right Now. Excellent album and a good choice. Um, Number 7, Love Stinks by Jay Giles Band. Jay Giles, people are iffy about. They're kind of like they were known as the American Rolling Stones because they had a front man who danced around a lot. Peter Wolf, do you believe his name was? Um, good harmonica in the band. Just a, you know, a working class type of rhythm and blues band from, the Northeast. Um, Excellent band to have fun and drink a couple beers to, and they're kind of lost these days. Nobody talks or about Jay Giles, and this album, Love Stinks, is much better than Centerfold, I think. Centerfold became their number one or a top song that was the most popular, and everybody kind of forgot about Love Stinks. This is a great album. Love Stinks is a great song. If you've been through a recent divorce, you'll crank that sucker up, man. Simple song, but fun, And Jay Giles Band is a lot of good songs in there. They're just not remembered in the same kind of way as a lot of the bands from this era. But good record. Another one, Little Feat, Dixie Chicken. This has got Dixie Chicken on it, which a lot of people have heard. Fat Man in the Bathtub. A lot of great songs on here. This band had a very unique sound. You think, hey man, maybe it's Southern rock. I don't know. It's not. They were from Los Angeles. A lot of these guys came from Frank Zappa's band. Um, the lead guitarist, and it was Lowell George. But hey, there was a lot of talented musicians in this band. They went in, they played jazz, they played, Southern style stuff. They played all kinds of stuff, and they were just excellent. Slide guitar by Lowell George is incredible. I just love the lyrics and the delivery of the vocals, and the band just jams. So, and then, like Jimmy Page said about this band, is there's not a lot of bands that sound like Little Feat, and there's not. There's way more bands that sounded like Led Zeppelin than Little Feat. It's like a hard band to replicate, I would say, and an excellent album. You've probably not heard too much on radio. You probably not heard. It's not overplayed, so you can have a lot of fun cranking this one. Yes. Next one is the first album by Blue Oyster Cult. Uh, you know, this is to me is my favorite Blue Oyster Cult album. There's a lot of other ones that are good, but this is my favorite. It was their first one. It's just called Blue Oyster Cult, like the band name. Um, Last Days of May, I love that song. It's about a drug deal gone bad in Mexico. About some kids who just want to uh, buy some dope or buy some weed and sell it and get new Fords or whatever. Man, it's like totally evocative of that time and place. And they're in Mexico and the deal goes bad and it's the last days of May. And there's also songs like Transmaniac on MC about Altamont in there, which is always kind of cool when they drop references to something like that, and you kind of got to decipher them. Um, She's as beautiful as a foot, which is a great rocking song. As Cities on Flame, I think is on here too. I'd have to go look, but I'm pretty sure it's just an excellent album. It's really, thinking man's heavy metal is kind of what Blue Oyster Cult was known for, and that's what they were. They were like the precursor to a lot of bands that played that way. Um, but they had something a little different, a little intellectual, I would say, in them. Funnest concert, one of the funnest concerts I've ever seen was Blue Oyster Cult at Magic Mountain, which was an amusement park. It just was a blast. I mean, they really rocked. It was really good. It's a fun time. Number 4, Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac. Black Magic Woman. This is not Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham. If you put this on, this is, you know, heavy duty blues, and it is good. You put this on and you will not believe that that's Fleetwood Mac. But Fleetwood Mac had a solid rhythm section with Mick Fleetwood and John McVie. They came all the way from the Blues Breakers, and they could really jam, and they could hold a jam together with Peter Green, who is an excellent lead guitarist. A lot of great songs on here that you will, recognize as being played by like Santana. You'll say, "Whoa, that's where it came from." And you'll actually say, "Hey, it's kind of better than the Santana version." They're really good album. Check it out. Um, Number 3, another one that was a little outside the classic rock range, but I like this one because it's like, they weren't playing Pixies on the radio in 1989, and the stuff I heard was way worse than the Pixies. So what the hell happened? Gouge Away. This is my favorite, and you still see Pixies today. They're still great. I mean, he might have packed on a few extra pounds, Francis, but man, he still has it, man. As far as like, he's not. It's not going to be a fake concert like one of these ones you go to, like REO Speedwagon or Loverboy. No, they still play rock. They rock, and they are still genuine. And it's really good stuff. I didn't discover them till after Nirvana, right? I'll be honest. In 1989, maybe I wouldn't have bought this record in 1989. I would have like, oh no, I don't know, But it's an excellent, excellent record. So check it out. Number two, uh, Blues Breakers by John Mayall on the Blues Breakers. This is also known as the Beano album. This is a highly influential album um, because it's really the first kind of album where you got that guitar sound with the Les Paul and the big pickups and Marshall stacks, which are English. They're from England, Marshall amplifiers. Um, Excellent. It blues in your face, kind of the blueprint for Led Zeppelin and the blueprint for a lot of those bands that came in the 70s afterwards. Hard blues. Really good stuff. Listen to this album. A lot of people haven't heard of it. I never heard it played on the classic rock radio stations. And John Mayall recently passed away. So give it a listen, for that. Like I said, they had a lot of great. That's if you look at that album, that's John McVie and Mick Fleetwood. They were the rhythm section for John Mayall. John Mayall played guitar and he also sang. I think people played a little keyboard and harmonica too. Um, and then Eric Clapton was guitar, and the guitar sound on this is just incredible. It's really good. So check it out. It's old-fashioned type of rhythm and blues, um, but it's rock infused and it's in your face with riffs and leads. It's really the precursor to, like I said, Led Zeppelin and everything that came after that. So check it out. And then my number one album that's like a hidden gem is Jeff Beck Truth. Or just this group had Rod Stewart, Ron Wood in it. I forget who was on drums, but Jeff Beck on guitar. This album is really like it came out like weeks before Led Zeppelin 1 and Led Zeppelin 1 and both of these albums sold about the same. They were both excellent albums, and they were both trying to do the same kind of thing with like Rod Stewart was the lead singer on this, and you know he was equivalent of Robert Plant, right? Robert Plant's obviously better. But they were still trying the same thing with that out front lead vocal, and then unless you gotta like not remember if you think I'm sexy, because this is really Rod Stewart sings really well on this. You cannot take that away from him. He's a good frontman and a good lead singer. Jeff Beck's guitar is just incredible. I mean, it's really good. Um, you know, it's not quite as like it's I don't know. The production's probably not as good as Jimmy Page. The "You Shook Me" version, the Led Zeppelin is more famous, but the "You Shook Me" on this has got its own. Man, it's got its own like from the gut type of guitar sound that you can appreciate. It's got a lot of great songs on here, and like I said, the difference between Led Zeppelin and Jeff Beck group is Jeff Beck was hard to get along with, right? So they went out on tour together. Um, they got in a lot of fights, By the time they came back and made their second album I don't think is as good, right? So this album is excellent. They came back and made a second album that was not quite as good. Led Zeppelin went on tour. They liked each other. They got along. They came back. They made Led Zeppelin 2, which is excellent, superb album, right? Classic, superb, great album. And they got famous. Jeff Beck group kind of disintegrated. But Jeff Beck is just a highly influential, excellent, and original guitarist. He doesn't have a sound like anybody else. He'll incorporate elements of other people into it, but it's always Jeff Beck. And later on he did a lot of instrumentalists and instrumentals and a lot of jazz type stuff. But man, it's all good. If you give Jeff Beck a chance, you'll really like it. So thank you very much. This was my first video, so I hope everybody likes it.